The champagne glass slipped from Ethan Kang's hand and exploded against the marble floor. The sharp crack echoed across the ballroom. Conversations died instantly. More than 300 guests turned toward the noise. But Ethan didn't notice any of them. His eyes were locked on the woman standing at the entrance. For a moment, he thought he was imagining things. 3 years since he had seen her face. 3 years since their divorce had become one of the biggest scandals in the country. 3 years since he had accused her of betrayal in front of cameras, investors, and reporters. And now she was standing in front of him, as if none of it had happened. Zara Adeyemi stepped into the ballroom with calm confidence. The room seemed to shift around her. Not because she demanded attention, because she didn't. The people around her simply couldn't stop looking. But Zara wasn't alone. A little girl walked beside her, holding her hand. The child looked about 5 years old. She wore a bright smile and looked completely unaware that she had just shattered Ethan Kang's world. Because the moment Ethan saw her face, his heart nearly stopped. The girl's eyes, her smile, the shape of her jaw, even the way she tilted her head. She looked exactly like him. Ethan. His business partner grabbed his arm. "Ethan, what's wrong?" Ethan swallowed. His throat felt dry. "Who is that child?" His partner followed his gaze. "The little girl?" "Yes." His partner studied the child for a second, then his eyebrows shot up. "Oh." Ethan's stomach tightened. "Oh, what?" His partner looked at him again. "You don't see it?" Ethan already knew what he was going to say. The answer terrified him. "See what?" "She looks like you." The words hit him like a truck. Across the ballroom, whispers were already spreading. "That's Zara Adeyemi, the billionaire entrepreneur? I heard Lumina Global is worth billions. Wasn't she Ethan Kang's ex-wife? They said her career was over after the divorce. Clearly they were wrong." The whispers continued. Ethan barely heard them. His attention remained fixed on the little girl. "The child laughed at something," Zara whispered. The sound stirred something inside him. Something painful. Something he couldn't explain. Before he realized what he was doing, he started walking toward them. His business partner called after him. "Ethan." But he didn't stop. He couldn't. Not now. Not when questions were tearing through his mind. Zara noticed him approaching. For a brief second, genuine surprise flashed across her face. Then it vanished. Her expression became calm, polite, distant. The distance hurt more than anger would have. Ethan stopped in front of her. Neither spoke. The silence stretched. Finally, he managed to say her name, Zara. She looked directly into his eyes. "Good evening, Mr. Kang." The formal greeting landed like a slap. Mr. Kang. Not Ethan. Not even an old friend. Just Mr. Kang. The little girl looked up at him curiously. "Mommy, who is he?" The question made Ethan's chest tighten. Zara's expression didn't change. She smiled gently at the child. "Someone I used to know." The answer was simple, but it cut deeper than any insult. The little girl nodded, as if that explanation was enough. Then she smiled at Ethan. An innocent smile, a trusting smile. For some reason that hurt even more. "Come on, Nia," Zara said softly. Nia, the name settled heavily inside Ethan's mind. He watched them walk away. And for the first time in 3 years, doubt entered his heart. Real doubt. The kind that refuses to stay quiet. The gala continued. People laughed. Music played. Business deals were discussed. But Ethan couldn't focus. Every few minutes, he found himself looking across the room toward Zara. She moved through the crowd with effortless confidence. Government officials greeted her. Investors sought her attention. Executives waited for a chance to speak with her. 3 years ago, those same people had turned their backs on her. Now they practically lined up to shake her hand. The irony wasn't lost on him. A familiar voice interrupted his thoughts. "Still watching her?" Ethan turned. His mother stood beside him, Chairwoman Kang, the woman who had never accepted Zara. Her expression hardened as she looked across the room. I see she's still good at attracting attention. Ethan didn't respond. His mother continued. I hope you're not letting old emotions cloud your judgment. Something about her words irritated him. For the first time, he didn't feel reassured by her presence. He felt uneasy. What exactly did Zara do? He asked suddenly. His mother blinked. What kind of question is that? A simple one. His eyes met hers. What exactly did she do? The older woman frowned. You know very well what she did. No. Ethan's voice remained calm. I know what I was told she did. A strange tension flashed across her face. It lasted less than a second, but Ethan noticed, and once he noticed it, he couldn't unsee it. His mother recovered quickly. Leave the past where it belongs. Then she walked away, but the uneasiness remained. Hours later, the gala finally ended. Most guests returned home. Ethan remained alone in the parking lot. His thoughts refused to settle. He kept seeing Naya's face. Those eyes, that smile, that resemblance. Finally, he pulled out his phone. A call connected after 2 rings. Inspector Hahn speaking. Ethan took a deep breath. I need you to reopen an investigation. There was silence. What investigation? My divorce. The investigator sounded surprised. 3 years later? Yes. Why now? Ethan looked toward the city lights. His answer came quietly. Because I think I may have destroyed my family. The next morning, Zara sat inside a conference room reviewing documents. Nia sat nearby coloring happily. Everything seemed normal, until Zara's assistant rushed inside. Her expression looked nervous. Mrs. Adeyemi. Zara looked up. What is it? The assistant hesitated. There's someone here asking to see you. Who? The assistant swallowed. Mr. Ethan Kang. The room instantly felt colder. Nia looked up from her coloring book. Mommy? Zara forced a smile. It's okay. But she knew it wasn't. Because after 3 years, the last person she expected to see was the man who had shattered her life. Outside the conference room, Ethan waited. His heart pounded harder than it had during any business negotiation. The door opened. Zara stepped outside. Her face revealed nothing. What do you want? No greeting, no smile. Just a question. Ethan looked into her eyes, then asked the one question that had consumed him all night. Is Nia my daughter? Zara froze, and for the first time since seeing him again, her carefully controlled expression finally cracked. A storm of emotions flashed across her face. Pain, anger, heartbreak, and something else. Something Ethan couldn't quite identify. When she finally spoke, her answer changed everything. Yes. And suddenly, the ground seemed to disappear beneath his feet. Yes. The word echoed inside Ethan's head. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Forgot the conference room. Forgot the building. Forgot everything, except the fact that he had just lost 5 years of his daughter's life. His lips parted, but no words came out. Zara stared at him. There was no satisfaction in her expression. No triumph. Only pain. Years and years of pain. Ethan finally found his voice. Nia is my daughter? Zara laughed softly, not because anything was funny, because sometimes pain reached a point where laughter was easier than tears. Now you want confirmation? The question hit him hard. Zara, no. Her voice sharpened immediately. No, Ethan. People passing through the hallway glanced toward them. Neither noticed. You don't get to stand here looking shocked. Tears appeared in her eyes. You don't get to act like fate cheated you. Ethan lowered his head. Every word felt deserved. You were there. Her voice trembled. You were right there when everything happened. He swallowed. I know. No. She shook her head. I don't think you do. For years, Zara had kept these emotions locked away. Now the door had finally opened. You accused me of fraud. Ethan closed his eyes. You accused me of stealing. The memories rushed back. Painful, ugly, impossible to escape. You accused me of marrying you for money. Each sentence felt like a knife. And you did it publicly. The last two words hung heavily between them. Publicly. Not privately. Not quietly, publicly. The entire country had watched her humiliation. The entire country had judged her. And the man leading the judgment had been her husband. Ethan felt sick. "I'm sorry." The apology sounded weak, even to him. Zara laughed again. "Sorry?" A tear slid down her cheek. "Do you think sorry fixes 5 years?" "No." His answer came immediately. "No, it doesn't." For the first time, she seemed surprised. Maybe she expected excuses. Maybe she expected self-defense. Instead, Ethan simply stood there accepting every accusation, because she was right, every single one. A long silence followed. Then Ethan asked quietly, "When did you find out?" Zara frowned. "Find out what?" "About the pregnancy." Her expression changed instantly. The anger remained, but sadness joined it. 2 weeks after the divorce. The answer hit him like a hammer. 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks. His hands clenched. "You were already pregnant?" "Yes." He felt his chest tighten. "And you didn't tell me?" The moment the question left his mouth, he regretted it, because Zara's expression hardened. "Tell you?" She stared at him in disbelief. "You had already decided who I was." Her voice cracked. "You had already told the world what kind of woman you thought I was." Ethan couldn't argue, because she was right. "If I had told you, would you have believed me?" The question stopped him cold. Would he have believed her? The painful truth surfaced immediately. No, at that time, he wouldn't have. His silence answered for him. Zara nodded. "Exactly." The hallway grew quiet again. Finally, Ethan asked the question he feared most. "What happened after the divorce?" For several seconds, Zara didn't answer, then she looked away. "When I left your house, I had nowhere to go." His stomach dropped. "I sold almost everything I owned." Ethan felt sick. The apartment? Sold? The car? Sold? The jewelry? A bitter smile crossed her face. "Especially the jewelry." Ethan looked down. Most of that jewelry had been given to her by his family, his mother, the same mother who never accepted her. "I rented a tiny apartment," Zara continued. "I applied for jobs." Her laugh returned, that painful laugh. "Nobody wanted to hire me." Ethan clenched his jaw, because he knew why. His accusations had destroyed her reputation. "I became a liability." She shrugged. "No company wanted to be associated with me. The guilt became unbearable." "You know what the funny part is?" Ethan looked up. "What?" "I still defended you." The words stunned him. "What?" "For months." Tears filled her eyes. "People asked how my husband could do something like that." She shook her head, and I kept saying there had to be some misunderstanding. Ethan felt something break inside him, because even after everything, she had protected him, while he had destroyed her. A voice suddenly interrupted. "Mommy?" Both turned. Nia stood nearby holding her coloring book. Concern filled her face. "Are you okay?" Immediately, Zara wiped her tears. The transformation happened so quickly it almost hurt to watch. A mother protecting her child. "I'm okay, sweetheart." Nia looked unconvinced. "You look sad." "I'm fine." The little girl walked over and hugged her. Without hesitation. Without questions. Without conditions. Zara wrapped her arms around her daughter. And Ethan suddenly understood something. This child had been Zara's strength. Her reason for surviving. Her reason for continuing. For 5 years, she had carried everything alone. A few minutes later, Nia returned to the conference room, leaving Ethan and Zara alone once more. This time, neither spoke. Eventually, Zara broke the silence. "Why now?" Ethan frowned. "What? Why investigate now?" The question was fair, painfully fair. Why now? Why not 3 years ago? Why not when she begged him to listen? Why not when she cried? Why not when she swore she was innocent? Ethan answered honestly. "Because I saw Nia." Zara stared at him. "The moment I saw her." He struggled to find the words. "I couldn't ignore the feeling." "What feeling? That something was wrong." His voice dropped. That I had missed something. The answer seemed to surprise her. Before she could respond, Ethan's phone rang. Inspector Hahn. Ethan answered immediately. What is it? The investigator didn't waste time. We found something. His pulse quickened. What? The original financial reports. Ethan straightened, and they were altered. The hallway suddenly felt colder. What do you mean altered? The reports used against Zara weren't the originals. Ethan's stomach twisted. No, we verified everything. Inspector Hahn sounded certain. The original records show no evidence of fraud. Ethan closed his eyes. The first major piece of evidence, gone, a lie. Inspector Hahn continued. There's more. Ethan's heart hammered. What? The photographs. The words hit like another punch. The photographs had been the final nail in the coffin. The images that supposedly showed Zara meeting another man. They're fake. Ethan stopped breathing. What? The man in the photographs has been identified. Silence. He's a professional model. The world seemed to tilt. A model? Yes. Inspector Hahn sighed. He was paid. Everything crashed down. The documents, the photographs, the accusations, the anger, the divorce. Every piece of evidence he had relied on was collapsing. One lie after another. Ethan slowly lowered the phone set. His hand trembled. Zara studied his face. What happened? He looked at her. For the first time in years, he looked at her without suspicion, without anger, without pride. Only regret. The documents were fake. Her expression didn't change. The photographs, too. Still no surprise. That hurt almost as much as the revelation itself, because it meant she had known the truth all along, and nobody had listened. Ethan swallowed hard, then asked the question that terrified him. Who did this? Inspector Hahn's voice returned through the phone. We're still investigating. A brief pause followed. Then the investigator added something that changed everything. We did uncover one lead. Ethan's pulse quickened. What lead? Inspector Hahn's answer came quietly. A witness claims your mother held several private meetings with Vivian Seo before the divorce. The blood drained from Ethan's face. And suddenly, the nightmare became even worse, because for the first time, he realized this wasn't just about lies. It was about who had been telling them. And the people responsible might be far closer than he ever imagined. The words refused to leave Ethan's mind. Your mother held several private meetings with Vivian Seo before the divorce. For several seconds, he simply stood there, frozen, unable to process what he had just heard. Zara watched him carefully. She could almost see the storm raging behind his eyes. What is it? She asked. Ethan lowered the phone slowly. His face had gone pale. Inspector Hahn's words echoed again. Private meetings. His mother. Vivian, before the divorce. The timing couldn't be ignored. The implications couldn't be ignored. And for the first time, Ethan felt genuine fear. Not fear of losing money. Not fear of public embarrassment. Fear of the truth. What happened? Zara repeated. Ethan looked at her. His voice sounded distant. The investigator found a witness. Zara's expression tightened. What witness? Someone who worked at my family's estate. A strange feeling settled over her. What did they say? What did they say? Ethan swallowed. They claim my mother and Vivian met several times before our anniversary gala. Silence. Zara stared at him. Then something unexpected happened. She wasn't shocked, and Ethan noticed immediately. You already suspected. It wasn't a question. Zara looked away. For years she had carried those suspicions alone. For years she had questioned her own instincts. Now they were finally being spoken aloud. I never had proof. Ethan felt his stomach twist. But yes, her answer came quietly. I suspected. The admission hit him harder than he expected, because it meant she had been carrying yet another burden, another unanswered question, another wound. And she had carried it without help, without support, without anyone believing her. Ethan suddenly felt ashamed, deeply ashamed. Not because of what his mother might have done, because of what he had failed to do, trust his wife. His phone buzzed again. Inspector Han. Ethan answered immediately. Tell me. The investigator didn't waste time. We located the witness. What did she say? Everything. Ethan's pulse quickened. He ended the call, then looked at Zara. I need to go, she nodded. Neither knew what else to say. As Ethan turned to leave, Zara stopped him. Ethan. He looked back. For a brief moment she seemed uncertain, then she asked quietly. If everything turns out to be true. He waited. Her voice lowered. What are you going to do? The question followed him all the way to his car, because he didn't know. He genuinely didn't know. An hour later, Ethan entered a private office where Inspector Han was waiting. An older woman sat across from the investigator, Mrs. Kim, a former employee from the Kang family estate. She looked nervous. Ethan sat down. Inspector, Han immediately began. Mrs. Kim worked for your family for nearly 12 years. Ethan nodded. The woman lowered her eyes. I never wanted to get involved. Her voice trembled. But after seeing what happened to Mrs. Adeyemi, she paused. I couldn't stay silent anymore. Ethan leaned forward. What did you see? Mrs. Kim took a deep breath, then spoke. 3 days before your anniversary gala, Vivian Seo visited your mother's estate. Ethan's heart pounded, and they met privately. His jaw tightened. Continue. I was serving tea. The woman's hands shook slightly. They didn't know I was close enough to hear. The room became silent. Every word mattered. Mrs. Kim swallowed. I heard Vivian say she finally had enough evidence. Ethan froze. Evidence. The same evidence that had destroyed his marriage. What else? The woman's eyes filled with regret. Your mother said it wasn't enough. A cold chill ran down Ethan's spine. What do you mean? Mrs. Kim hesitated, then spoke. She wanted the scandal to happen publicly. The room went completely silent. Inspector Han slid a folder across the table. Inside were statements, notes, dates, records. Everything matched everything. Ethan stared at the pages. His hands began trembling, because deep down he already knew. This witness wasn't lying. His mother had been involved. His own mother. The realization felt like betrayal, proper, painful, personal. Inspector Han spoke carefully. We also located financial transfers. Ethan looked up. What transfers? Payments connected to the forged photographs. His pulse quickened. And? The investigator opened another file. The answer was devastating. The money originated from an account controlled by Vivian Seo. Silence. Then another page appeared. And these transactions were approved by someone else. Ethan stared at the name. His blood ran cold. Chairwoman Kang. For a moment he couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't process. His mother. It was really his mother. Not suspicion. Not theory. Not possibility. Proof. Real proof. The room suddenly felt too small. Ethan stood abruptly. I need air. He walked outside. The afternoon sun felt harsh against his face. His chest tightened. Memories flooded his mind. His mother warning him about Zara. His mother questioning her motives. His mother encouraging his doubts. At the time, he thought she was protecting him. Now, he realized something horrifying. She had been helping destroy the woman he loved. His phone vibrated. A message from his mother. Dinner tonight? The timing felt almost cruel. Ethan stared at the screen, then typed a response. We'll talk tonight. Hours later, he arrived at the family mansion. The same mansion where he had grown up. The same mansion where Zara had once tried so desperately to belong. Servants greeted him nervously. Word had already spread that something was wrong. Ethan walked directly into the main lounge. Chairwoman Kang sat calmly near the fireplace. She looked up. Ethan. He didn't sit, didn't smile, didn't greet her. His mother immediately noticed. Something in her expression shifted. What's wrong? Ethan pulled a folder from his briefcase, then threw it onto the table. The papers scattered. Bank records, statements, evidence, proof. His mother's face lost color, just for a second. But Ethan saw it, and that was enough. "Tell me the truth." The room fell silent. His mother recovered quickly. "What truth?" The calmness in her voice only fueled his anger. "Stop." His voice echoed through the room. For the first time in years, he wasn't speaking to her as a son. He was speaking to her as a man demanding answers. "Did you help Vivian frame Zara?" Silence, dangerous silence. His mother stood slowly. "I was protecting this family." The answer struck him like a slap, because it wasn't a denial. Not even close. His hands clenched. "You did." His voice cracked. "You actually did it." His mother's expression hardened. "She was wrong for you." The words ignited something inside him. Years of grief. Years of regret. Years of buried pain. "You ruined my marriage." His mother shook her head. "No, yes." His voice rose. "You ruined my family." The older woman remained stubborn. "I saved you." Ethan laughed. A broken laugh. A painful laugh. The kind that came from someone who finally understood how badly they had been deceived. "Saved me?" His eyes filled with tears. "From what?" His mother said nothing. Ethan took a step closer. "You didn't save me." Another step. "You took away 5 years of my daughter's life." The room became silent again. His mother froze. And in that instant, Ethan noticed something. Guilt. Real guilt. His voice dropped. "You knew." The older woman looked away. Ethan's stomach sank. "You knew about Nia." Still silence. That silence told him everything. His chest tightened painfully. "How long?" No answer. "How long?" His voice exploded this time. The truth was finally cornered. And what his mother was about to confess would shatter what remained of their relationship forever. How long? Ethan's voice echoed through the room. His mother remained silent. The silence itself felt like an answer, a terrible answer. But Ethan needed to hear the words, needed confirmation, needed the truth. "How long did you know about Nia?" Chairwoman, Kang slowly lowered herself into a chair. For the first time in his life, she looked defeated, not powerful, not commanding, just tired. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Since she was born." The world seemed to stop. Ethan stared at her, unable to move, unable to think. Since she was born. 5 years. 5 entire years. His chest tightened so sharply it hurt. "You knew." His voice cracked. "You knew I had a daughter." His mother looked down. "I received a message from someone who knew Zara." Ethan's hands trembled. "And you said nothing?" "I thought it was better that way." The answer ignited something inside him. Anger. Pure anger. The kind he had never felt before. "Better?" His voice rose. "Better for who?" The older woman flinched, but Ethan couldn't stop. "You watched me spend years believing I had no child." Another step forward. "You watched Zara raise her alone." His eyes filled with tears. "And you never told me?" For the first time, Chairwoman Kang began crying, not dramatically, quietly, like someone finally seeing the damage they had caused. "I thought I was protecting you." Ethan shook his head. "No." His voice was firm. "You were protecting your pride." The words landed heavily, because they were true. The older woman couldn't deny it. For years, she had convinced herself she was acting out of love. Now even she could no longer believe that lie. Ethan picked up the folder. His expression hardened. "I'm done." His mother looked up. "What?" "I'm done making excuses for you." Fear flashed across her face. The same woman who had once controlled every decision in his life suddenly looked afraid. "Ethan." "No," he interrupted. "You spent years telling me Zara was the problem." His voice dropped. But the problem was never Zara. The words cut deeper than shouting ever could. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Ethan turned and walked away. His mother called after him. He didn't stop. This time, he couldn't. Because there was only one person he wanted to see. One person who deserved the truth. One person who deserved more than another apology. Hours later, Ethan arrived at Zara's apartment. He stood outside for several moments, gathering courage. Then he knocked. The door opened. Zara looked surprised. "Ethan?" He looked exhausted. Emotionally exhausted. She immediately noticed. What happened? For several seconds he couldn't speak. Then he finally managed to say, "She knew." Zara froze. His voice trembled. "My mother knew about Nia." Silence filled the apartment. The pain in his eyes was unmistakable. Since she was born. Zara slowly sat down, not because she was shocked, because she finally understood the depth of what had been stolen from him. Not just a marriage, not just trust. Years with his daughter. Years that would never come back. Ethan sat across from her. For once, there was no wall between them, no pride, no anger, no defensiveness. Only honesty. "I don't know how to fix any of this." The confession surprised even him. Because Ethan Kang was a man who always had solutions, always had answers. But not this time. Zara looked at him quietly, then asked, "Why are you telling me this?" The answer came immediately. "Because I promised myself I would never hide from the truth again." Something shifted in Zara's expression. Not forgiveness, but recognition. Recognition that the man sitting in front of her wasn't the same man who had destroyed their marriage. Growth didn't erase the past. But it mattered. Before either could say anything else, a small voice interrupted. "Mom?" Nia appeared from the hallway. She stopped when she saw Ethan, then smiled. "Ethan." Without hesitation, she ran toward him. Ethan caught her effortlessly. The little girl wrapped her arms around his neck, and for the first time all day, he smiled. A genuine smile. Not forced, not polite, real. Nia pulled back slightly. "Why do you look sad again?" Ethan laughed softly. "You always notice that, because you're easy to read." The answer made Zara laugh. Even Ethan laughed. For a few minutes the heaviness in the room faded. Nia talked about school, her friends, a science project, a drawing competition, simple things, normal things. And Ethan listened as if every word mattered. Because to him, it did. A few weeks later, another major development shook the country. Vivian Seo officially accepted a plea agreement. The confession became public. Every lie. Every forged document. Every staged photograph. Everything. The media exploded. The truth was finally undeniable. Zara's name was completely cleared. And for the first time in years, people saw her not as a scandal, but as a survivor. Messages flooded in from around the world. Business leaders praised her resilience. Women's organizations invited her to speak. Former critics apologized publicly. Yet the most meaningful message came from someone unexpected, Chairwoman Kang. The message was short. "Can we talk?" Zara stared at the screen. Tundi immediately objected. "No." She looked up. Tund. "No." He folded his arms. "Absolutely not," Zara sighed. "Tund. I'm serious." His voice softened. "That woman caused you years of pain." "I know. Then why even consider it?" Zara looked toward the window. Because something had changed. Not in the past. The past remained painful. But in her the anger no longer controlled her. The hurt no longer defined her. And perhaps most importantly, Nia deserved the chance to know every part of her family. Even the complicated parts. A week later, Zara agreed to meet. The meeting took place in a quiet cafe. No cameras. No reporters. No publicity. Just two women sitting across from each other. For several moments neither spoke. Then Chairwoman Kang broke the silence. "I'm sorry." The words came immediately. No excuses. No explanations. Just an apology. Zara remained quiet. The older woman continued. "I judged you before I knew you." Tears formed in her eyes. "I saw your nationality before I saw your character." Another tear followed. "I saw my fears instead of the truth." For the first time, Zara saw genuine regret, not the regret of being caught, the regret of understanding. Understanding what had been lost, understanding the damage, understanding the cost. The older woman lowered her head. "I don't expect forgiveness." Zara nodded. Good. The honesty surprised both of them. Chairwoman Kang managed a weak smile. You always were direct. That earned the smallest smile from Zara. The conversation continued, slowly, carefully. Two wounded people trying to navigate difficult truths. By the time they left the cafe, nothing had been fully repaired. But something important had happened, the first step. And sometimes the first step was the hardest. Months passed. Life gradually settled into a new rhythm. Ethan continued showing up, every school event, every birthday, every milestone. Not because he wanted recognition, because he wanted to be present. One afternoon, Nia sat between Ethan and Zara after a school performance. She looked unusually thoughtful. Finally, she spoke. Can I ask a question? Both adults looked at her. Of course. Nia studied them carefully, then smiled. Why do you both laugh more now? The question caught them completely off guard, and neither realized that Nia's next innocent observation would lead directly to one of the most emotional moments of their lives. Why do you both laugh more now? Nia's question hung in the air. Ethan and Zara exchanged a glance. Neither answered immediately. The little girl folded her arms. You do. Zara smiled. Do we? Yes. Nia nodded confidently. You used to look sad all the time. The honesty made Ethan laugh. Children had a way of saying things adults spent years avoiding. Nia pointed at both of them. Now you smile more. She seemed very pleased with her observation. Ethan looked at Zara. For a brief moment, he remembered the countless times they had laughed together years ago. Before the lies, before the accusations, before everything fell apart. Zara noticed the look in his eyes. She looked away first, not because she was uncomfortable, because those memories still carried weight. The school auditorium gradually emptied. Parents gathered their children. Teachers said goodbye. Life continued, yet somehow things felt different. Lighter, not perfect, but lighter. As they walked toward the parking lot, Nia suddenly slipped her hands into theirs, one hand holding Zara's, the other holding Ethan's. The gesture was so natural neither reacted at first. Then they both noticed. Nia grinned. What? Ethan shook his head. Nothing. The little girl smiled proudly. Good. That evening, Zara found herself thinking about the past, not the painful parts, the good parts. The parts she had spent years trying to forget. The young economist who had arrived in a foreign country with dreams. The ambitious businessman who had fallen in love with her confidence. The nights they spent talking about their future, the plans they made, the family they imagined. For years those memories felt poisoned. Now they simply felt sad. Sad because they had been real. A few days later, Ethan received a call from Nia, a direct call. Not through Zara, not arranged, just Nia. Ethan, he immediately smiled. Hi, Nia. I need help. His heart jumped. What's wrong? It's an emergency. Ethan sat upright. What kind of emergency? The little girl lowered her voice dramatically. A birthday emergency. He laughed. What happened? Nia sighed. Mom's birthday is next week. Oh, and she never celebrates. Ethan smiled. That does sound serious. It is serious. The little girl sounded completely convinced. For the next 10 minutes, Nia explained her plan. By the end of the conversation, Ethan found himself agreeing to help. The following week, Zara arrived home expecting a quiet evening. Instead, she opened the door and froze. The apartment was decorated. A cake sat on the table. Balloons floated nearby. And standing in the middle of everything was Nia, wearing a party hat, looking extremely proud of herself. Surprise! Zara laughed immediately. Nia. The little girl pointed dramatically. No crying. I'm not crying. You look like you're going to. Zara wiped at her eyes, then noticed Ethan standing near the kitchen. Their eyes met. For a moment neither spoke. Then she understood. He had helped. Not because he expected credit. Not because he wanted praise. Simply because Nia asked. The realization touched her more than she expected. The evening was simple. Cake, laughter, stories. Nothing extravagant, nothing dramatic, yet it became one of Zara's favorite birthdays. Because for the first time in years, she felt surrounded by peace. Months turned into a year. The wounds never completely disappeared, but they became easier to carry. Trust slowly returned, not all at once. Day by day, conversation by conversation, action by action. One morning, Zara received news that Lumina Global would be opening a major office in Manchester. The opportunity was enormous. The move would require frequent travel and a temporary relocation. The night before departure, she stood in her apartment reviewing documents. A knock interrupted her concentration. When she opened the door, Ethan stood outside holding a bouquet of purple flowers, Nia's favorite color. Zara smiled. "You remembered. I try to remember important things now." The answer made her laugh softly. Ethan stepped inside. For a few moments, they talked quietly. About work, about Nia, about life. The conversation felt natural, comfortable. Eventually silence settled between them. Not awkward silence, peaceful silence. The kind that only existed between people who had finally stopped pretending. Ethan looked at her. "There was a time I thought love meant never losing." Zara listened. He continued. "I thought being strong meant never admitting I was wrong." A sad smile crossed his face. "I was wrong about both." The honesty in his voice touched her. Because she knew how difficult those words would have been for the man he used to be. Whether they rebuilt a romantic relationship or not, one thing was undeniable. He had changed, not through promises, not through speeches, through actions, consistent actions. Over a very long time, before Zara could respond, Nia came running into the room. She looked suspicious, very suspicious. Both adults immediately noticed. "What?" Zara asked. Nia narrowed her eyes. "You were having serious people conversations again." Ethan laughed. "Serious people conversations?" "Yes." The little girl pointed at them. "Nobody likes those." Zara folded her arms. "And what do you suggest?" Nia thought for a second, then smiled. A dangerous smile, the kind that usually meant she had an idea. An idea nobody else was prepared for. The next morning, they arrived at the airport. Travelers rushed through the terminal. Announcements echoed overhead. Nia stood between them, holding both their hands. As usual, when boarding time approached, Zara knelt beside her daughter. "I'll call every day." Nia nodded. "I know." Then the little girl looked at Ethan. "And you'll answer every day." Ethan smiled. "I will." Nia appeared satisfied. Then, just before Zara stood up, the little girl did something neither adult expected. She grabbed Zara's hand, then Ethan's hand, and firmly pushed them together. The exact same thing she had done months earlier, only this time she refused to let go. "Nia." Zara laughed. The little girl shook her head. "No." Ethan smiled. "What are you doing?" The answer came immediately. "Fixing things." Both adults burst out laughing. The innocence of the statement made it impossible not to. Nia looked pleased with herself. "There." She nodded confidently. "Much better." For a moment all three simply stood there laughing. No reporters, no scandals, no accusations, no lies. Just a family that had survived something painful and found its way back to each other. Not perfectly. Not magically. But honestly, eventually the boarding announcement sounded again. This time Zara had to go. She looked at Ethan. For a second, emotions filled her eyes. Then she spoke. "I'm proud of you." The words caught him completely off guard. "What?" "I'm proud of the man you became." Ethan felt his throat tighten, because after everything that had happened, those words meant more than she could possibly know. He smiled, a real smile, the kind that reached his eyes. "Thank you." Nia immediately pointed at both of them. "See?" They laughed again. As Zara and Nia walked toward the gate, Ethan watched them go, not with fear, not with regret, not with desperation, with gratitude, because he finally understood something. Love wasn't about possession. It wasn't about pride. It wasn't about winning. Love was showing up. When it was easy. When it was difficult. When it hurt. When it didn't showing up consistently. Choosing the people you love every single day, the future remained uncertain. But uncertainty no longer frightened them. Because trust had replaced suspicion, truth had replaced lies, and healing had replaced bitterness. One honest step at a time, the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. If you were Zara, would you have given Ethan a second chance? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And remember, one lie can destroy years of trust, but accountability, patience, and genuine change can sometimes rebuild what seemed lost forever.